At some point, most men bury the boy they used to be, the one who dreamed, hoped, and believed that life could be more. The kid who existed before you learned how to hide, perform, and make life work on your own. But buried does not mean gone. That boy is coming back. In Disney's The Kid, it happens literally. For Pablo, it came through a marriage crisis that nearly destroyed everything. This conversation is about what happens when the life you built collides with the boy you thought you left behind.
The movies and stories we love are gateways to see ourselves and God in new ways.
Every great story borrows its power from a larger story, the story that's written on our hearts and woven into the fabric of our very being.
Hello and welcome to the Men at the Movies podcast. My name is Paul McDonald, and before I introduce my guest, who I'm super excited to have on again, he's been on a few times already. I want to just encourage you, if you're listening to this, you probably want to go check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@menatthemovies, because we're going to be showing some clips. Some of them are a little bit longer and have some non-verbal, non-dialogue-y sort of thing, but the visuals really will help us as we have this conversation. So again, check out our YouTube channel, like and subscribe and do all the things. But for now, I look forward to talking about this Disney movie, The Kid, with my friend Pablo. Hey, Pablo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Paul. Thank you for having me today.
Well, I'm very excited. We've been struggling, in a word. Struggling's not the right word because we just sort of walked with the invitation, but we've tried to have this conversation now for a couple months. And so sickness has derailed us, but it's all in God's time, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that we're making it happen. The time is now. We're right on time today, Paul.
And so, Pablo, you're now in Miami. If you've been listening before, he was out in Colorado, now in Miami. And I know him probably most deeply through Wild Sons, the ministry that you shepherd, I think is the correct word. And you were also recently kind of highlighted. Your story was highlighted on the Wild at Heart docuseries. And so when I saw the series, I was like, hey, I know these guys. Let me have them on the podcast and see if they'll come on and share some of their stories so that we can point people to that series. And you should absolutely go check it out again at YouTube. This time the / is at Wild at Heart. So before we kick off with The Kid, what was it like? What was your reaction when the Wild at Heart group came to you and said, we want you and Juanita to share your story?
What a beautiful and honoring question, Paul. Thank you. I think to answer it, just to give a little context, I've been in the podcast before. I don't remember how much I got to share my story on the podcast, but basically just a couple of years after getting married, our marriage was in a really difficult place. We ended up separating for 8 months. We were on the verge of getting a divorce. And it was at that point that an incredible friend and mentor came and began to fight for my heart. And what he used at the time was the book Wild at Heart to take me back into my story and lead me on a journey of healing and restoration and masculine initiation, which transformed my life in more ways that I could even mention, and then saved my marriage and transformed my marriage, and it's saved my family. Now I've been married for 24 years and we have 2 incredible boys, 14 and 8. And so since then, this is back in 2004, we became big fans of John Eldridge and the Wild at Heart team and anything that came out of their house. And so reading books and podcasts and attending their events over the course of many years. And so it is a pretty remarkable story of what God can do in the life of a man when the man says, yes, it was not me transforming my life, it was God and his love and what he did and has done in and through me. And so I have continued in touch with the Wild at Heart team. We have done a few things in collaboration over the years, including the 1 Minute Pause app, which I was blessed to be a part of the development of that project back in 2019 and 2020. And yeah, at some point, John reached out and invited me to share my story along with my wife, Juanita, on this docuseries. And it was both honoring and petrifying of, right? First, like, wow, thank you, really, me, and yeah, what an honor to use our story to reach the hearts of more men and women and marriages. But is really hard because it required for us to really turn the lights or shine the lights on the darkest parts of our story and things that you really don't want to think about or want people to know about, but it is the story. And if we didn't share that, it would be very hard for us to share the grace of God. And so praying through that, God said, would you give me your story? Would you allow me, give me, and trust your story to me and let me do what I will with it? And as hard as it was, we said yes, and it was one of the most rewarding projects we have done. We're super honored by the way that they treated the story and how kindly and beautifully they have portrayed it and showed it. And yeah, we're now on the other side of that, listening to the stories that are being changed through the documentary series. So it's beautiful. It's really honoring.
It's really cool. And even as you were that was the summary. That was, as we were talking before the show, we said, I don't know how deep we want to go with this, because if we really pull out everything that we see and feel and have experienced through watching this movie, The Kid, we could talk for easily 3 to 5 hours.
Easy. Yes.
We're not gonna put the listeners through that. But one of the things that I wrote down was that I think is, you really want to do the elevator pitch of your story. It's the story of the power of love to transform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could not put it in a better way.
And you're going to see that when we get to the very end. You're going to see how everything wraps up in that direction and that point. So Pablo, when I asked you, it's like, hey, I want you to come on the podcast and talk about your story and what movie would you like to use. You said The Kid, which we're familiar with through our boot camps, through the muster, through our events here in Charlotte. We use clips from the movie The Kid. What was it that stood out for you other than Jesus saying, pick this one? What was it that resonated with you? And the piece that we really want to dive into today with regarding our stories.
Yeah, well, the first thing is I could not believe that no one had chosen that movie before. Given the spirit behind your incredible podcast, that no one had chosen that movie, I just wanted to grab it and say, "Oh, okay, that's mine.
That's mine."
Paul and I would be chatting about The Kid, and then second, because my life, and we just mentioned some of that, given the documentary series, has been the journey of becoming. By 2004, when all of this took place, what we show in the documentary, and just to tease a little, it's a story of addiction, it's a story of infidelity, it's a story of separation and almost divorce, but then bigger than that is a story of restoration of all of that, redemption. Mm-hmm. And that's the story that we see in The Kid. Different circumstances, right? It's not necessarily addiction and infidelity and none of that, but below the waterline, meaning at the level of the heart, is the story of a man who wants to be a great guy. He wants to be a good man, but finds himself in a place of disruption as a result of what he has experienced along his life. We talk in our events, at the Wild Zones events, about moments in our lives where we have the capacity to pause and ask ourselves the question, who have I become? And then wrestle with what words would I use to describe that man? Is it loving and true and courageous and alive and free, or is it checked out or passive or hurting? Or what words would I use to describe the man that I have become? And then what words would I use to describe the life that I'm experiencing? Is it a life of adventure and passion and freedom? Or what words would you use to describe the life that you're experiencing? And then lastly, what impact am I having on the people that got us entrusted to my care? And so if my wife could describe her experience of me, if my children could describe their experience of me, if my brothers, if my friends, if my coworkers could describe honestly and vulnerably what is the experience that I have as a man on them, what would they say? And he finds himself in a similar place. He needs to wrestle with the man that he has become, the life that he's experiencing, and the impact that he's having on the people around him. And it's not good. It is not good, right? But then it is the story of redemption. It is the story of restoration. And so it's a perfect parable for the masculine journey, for that journey that God is inviting every single one of us, so that we get to experience a life worth living, which is his desire for us. And so that we can become the men and the husbands and the fathers and the leaders that he created us to be, living from a full heart. And so that is one of my favorite movies ever, because it's that perfect metaphor, that perfect parable for what I just described. And I've watched it 1,000 times. We've used it, as you mentioned, on our events, and can't wait to unpack it together, Paul.
And the context of this movie is Russell Duritz, played by Bruce Willis, he's approaching his 40th birthday. And that's a natural time. Many men come to grips, they call it a middle life crisis sometimes, where they look back and wonder what impact they've had. As you mentioned, they have a disruption. Something arises in their lives somewhere around this time. And so what we're going to start with is the very beginning of the movie. Like, credits are rolling and everything. You see a plane flying through the sky, and in between you see glimpses of the man Russell has become.
I'm sorry, I can't seem to find my purse. I must have 10 of them.
Can you just ring mine first, please?
There's someone ahead of you, sir.
I usually keep my change in my little change bear, but...
That's almost interesting. How much is hers?
$5.26.
You just add it on, please.
Hold on. If it's not in this one, it'll be in another one.
That'll be $9.65.
Thank you very much.
How sweet! You didn't have to do that for me.
I didn't do it for you. Check some bags next time.
Sure.
How can I help you, Governor?
Some dirtbag from the Attorney General's office has dared to mention the word jail.
Somebody call the ambulance.
What did you say?
Governor, do you know what the #1 killer of politicians under the age of 60 is?
No.
Self-pity. Now, Governor, I'll be more than happy to help you out of this mess that you so willingly seem to have stepped into. But you'll have to do something.
What's that?
Stop crying.
I'll try.
No, I mean right now. You're giving me a headache.
Excuse me, folks. Anything more to drink?
Do y'all have any single malt scotch?
Sure do.
So, what do you do for a living? You want to tell me about it? Yeah, comfort of strangers and all that?
No.
Must be something on the internet. or finance. Genetic engineering, maybe? Huh?
I'm an image consultant, okay?
Okay. So you sort of troubleshoot for folks, give them makeovers when they need revamping, right?
Right.
Hey, look. I'm flying to LA to start an anchor job in the local news, and I do not think that it's an accident that I'm sitting next to you.
I see. So the cosmic purpose of our meeting is for me to give you free advice. What do I get out of it?
We don't know yet. But I'll owe you.
If I do it, will you shut up?
Quiet as the dead.
Your hair is too big, your brows are too dark, your nails are too long, and your foundation's too orange. Your perfume's too sweet. It's the news, honey, not the prom. I like your eyes.
Thank you.
Bluer. Try the tinted contacts, but only when you're anchoring or in LA. When you're on assignment, take them out.
What about my accent? I'm always being warned to stop saying y'all.
Don't ever stop saying y'all. Your y'all is your trademark. Say y'all and you'll be promoted in 6 months. Say y'all with a smile, and you'll be famous in 12.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, will you please shut up?
So when you look at Russ, what do you see?
It depends on which eyes I'm using to look at him. On one hand, he is very successful, right? He's this high-powered man, lead, follow, or get out of the way. He's clearly accomplishing all his goals, right? According to the world, he's a man to admire, I think, is the first reaction that I have. But, and there's always a but, right? At the level of the heart, oh my goodness, he's running over people. He is basically a jerk, right? He has absolutely no awareness of the effect that his presence has on the people around him. He only has a mission, and his mission is to get whatever he wants done. And so even though the current world and culture would probably worship a man like him, my God, if I pause to really evaluate, he's got to be a pretty miserable man. And, you and I have watched that movie multiple times, and so we know more than what we see in the clip, even though it's just hilarious. I love watching it every single time. And by the way, one thing that caught me highlighted really, really strongly as I saw it was the contrast between him and all these situations where he is pretty much, hurting people along the way. But the contrast between that and the red plane flying, and for those of you who are not watching but just listening, again, go to the YouTube channel so you can experience it visually. There is a red plane that keeps flying around, and you don't know what the red plane is about. But up until this point in the movie, it's a symbol of hope. Mm-hmm. It's a symbol of adventure, and there is a symbol of freedom. And so even though this is the man that he has become, it's not late. And there is hope that things can be different. It was my perspective now. How about you, Paul? What else do you see?
Oh, you just said it. How what struck me as you said is we won't know till the end of the movie the significance of the red plane.
Mm-hmm.
But that red plane is being piloted. That red plane is being piloted by older Russ, and Russ is coming to the rescue.
Right.
Because as I mentioned in the tee up, the disruption is coming.
Yes.
And we look at it as bad, an inconvenience. It might be an injury. It might be, it might be an illness. It might be, who knows? It could, for most of us, it's not an 8-year-old boy showing up on our doorstep.
Yeah. One more thing that I saw on this, and sharing this with total honesty. When I saw this clip, I saw myself many times, meaning not necessarily the successful, high-powered part, even though I would like to be described as such, right? There's a part of me that, yes, of course, I want that. But more so, the in awareness of the effect that my brokenness has on the people that God has entrusted to me, how blind I can be at times, and how I'm operating to try to make life work in whatever capacity that is, right? To protect myself from dangers that I'm perceiving, or to promote myself because I need to make it in the world, whatever that thing is what he's doing. And I find myself doing that. Many years ago, you've heard me share this story. We were on vacation, and we finally made it to the cabin where we were staying. And I had been just wrestling with the kids, not doing what I wanted them to do. And come on, please. And, the frustrations of young families. And when we finally made it, I invited my wife to drink a glass of wine and go outside and watch the stars. And right, I'm romancing the beauty, and things may get great tonight, and we can have a good time. And so I approached her and I asked her something like, "How's your heart, honey? And how beautiful that we're here." Her response was the disruption that you're talking about. Very lovingly, she said something that really hurt me at the time, but it was an invitation towards freedom. She said, "Pablo, let me share something with you. Sometimes living with you is like living with a sergeant set on his ways, who is more concerned with accomplishing his mission than loving the people that God has entrusted to him." And at that moment, part of me wanted just to jump up and scream at her and tell her how unfair it is what she's saying. You have no idea, and all that I'm doing is for you, and the kids are blah, 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 blah. But she was right? A part of me, right, the way that I had been sort of herding my family, like herding cattle during the day to get us to where we were, was mostly because I just wanted to get it done, but not because I wanted to, right, love them well. Of course, I want to love them well, but my autopilot, my Russell Duritz in the clip that we just saw, was the equivalent to a sergeant set on his ways, and I needed to be called out on that. And so, for our audience, for our listeners and viewers, who is that Russell Duritz in you? Right? For some, it may be that successful guy that is lead follower, get out of the way, and you're simply making it work in life, and you have a ton of money and a ton of prestige. Awesome and great for you. There's nothing wrong with that, particularly. But what is the effect that you have on others, and where's that coming from? Right? What kind of men have we become? What kind of life are we experiencing? And more importantly, as a result of that, what is the effect that we're having on the people entrusted to us?
Yeah, and that story is not from 2004. That wasn't from way back. That's a story of a man who's years into this.
You bet. That was probably 2013, 2014, something like this. Yeah, right. It's not that at some point in 2004, when I experienced what we show in the documentary series, and then I received healing and everything was perfect. No, there is a journey, there is a process of restoration, and it's taken more than 2 freaking decades in my life, but it's worth it. It's worth every minute. It's worth going through it and continuing to peel layers and experiencing more healing and more restoration.
And part of that is, I think, it might sound daunting to be like, oh, you've done this for 20 years and you still have these things, right? We still have the impact. I still react to my grandson in ways that I don't want to do. And I even told the guys at the fire the other night, as we asked, how's your heart doing? I'm like, I'm wrestling because I know who I am. I know who I want to be.
And there are still gaps.
And there's still times that I don't, where I'm like, I'm too busy. I got to do this. I'm like, I'm not really that busy. I can go shoot baskets with my grandson.
Yeah.
I can sit down with my wife.
I love the question that you're posing, Paul, because that is the question that Russell is going to have to wrestle with. it is the question that we have to wrestle with, and it's probably the perfect transition to what now happens in his story. So is that gap between the man that I know I could be and that I want to be, and the man that I find myself being at times, right? Those parts of me that react emotionally, and I, yell at my kids or snap at my wife or react emotionally in this way or that way. What's that gap about? Where is the gap? How do we find what's in the way? What's in the way of me becoming all that God created me to be?
And you used a word that we're going to talk about as we continue, that word parts. There are parts of me that respond one way. There are parts of me that respond another way. And I think there's a quote out there attributed to a number of people, but that we are all the ages we have ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And so into Russ's story, we find 8-year-old Rusty. His 8-year-old version of himself shows up. Russ thinks it's a hallucination. He is trying to avoid, he wants to keep the past in the past. He's got a tic that he denies, his eye twitches. Obviously, he doesn't like the crying. He's damaged, his wife, the girl he's dating. And so into this scenario, into his world appears this 8-year-old boy who is his younger self, which we all have. And so this is young Rusty, we're going to call him. This is Rusty's reaction to the reality that Russ is living in.
Chester! Here, boy, come on, Chester! Chester! Here, boy! Come on, Chester! Chester! Come on, Chester! Chester! Here, boy, come on, Chester! Chester!
Kid, will you stop that yelling?
Chester!
Hey! Now!
Where's Chester?
Who is Chester?
My dog. The dog I'm going to get when I grow up.
Oh.
The world's greatest dog. The one who rides on the back of my truck, plays frisbee, goes everywhere I go. Chester!
Bad news, kid. No dog here.
What do you mean?
I mean, no dog. There's no dog here. I don't own a dog.
No dog? No dog? I grew up to be a guy with no dog?
That's right.
Why don't I have a dog?
Because I don't want a dog, okay? I can't take care of a dog. Travel all the time for work.
Travel for work? I grew up to fly jets, right? I knew it. I knew I would grow up to fly jets.
No.
No, I don't fly jets?
Not really, no.
What do I do then?
You're an image consultant.
What's that? What does a consultant do?
Consult.
But what do I do?
You don't do anything. You tell other people what to do. That's the fun of it. You boss people around. Like this. Stop talking.
Shouldn't there be a lady here somewhere?
What do you mean, a lady living here? No, I live alone.
I thought you said you were 40.
I said I was almost 40. So?
So, I'm 40, I'm not married, I don't fly jets, and I don't have a dog? I grow up to be a loser.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's beautiful. It's perfect. The contrast between the well put together guy with his suit and a tie in the gorgeous house that, by the way, has an echo because is empty, right?
Yeah.
It's empty, and but he's perfectly put together, and the contrast between him and this incredible boy as it gets, right? His wonder and his childlike heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see what happened. When along the way did he lose all of that? What happened that incredible boy had become this heartless man? And it takes the evaluation of an 8-year-old boy, right? In the eyes of the world, again, everyone would worship at the altar of the self-made successful man. But the boy's description of the man is, I don't fly jets, I don't have a dog, I don't drive a truck, and I don't have a wife. I grew up to be a loser. That's his conclusion of who he became. It's disruptive, but it's really poignant and beautiful.
And what we're seeing externally is actually what happens internally for us.
Yes.
The word I wrote down is, as he's going through looking for Chester, is that younger self, that younger part is incessant. And as much as we try to silence that part of us, it's like, I don't have a dog, I'm a loser. I don't fly jets, I'm a loser. I don't have a wife, I'm a loser. Like, and we try to kill it. We stuff it in a box. We just like, I wish, and we see through the movie how Russ treats Rusty for a long time with derision, with mocking, with hatred. Like, he hates this part of himself.
Well, he spent his entire life trying to forget that boy, trying to push it down and to become someone else, right? It's almost as if his life today at 40 is the polar opposite of who Rusty was. And it feels on purpose. And so I think it's worth, Paul, going back when we talk about this journey of restoration that God invites us into, the very verse that Jesus chooses to use to describe his ministry is drawn from Isaiah 61. You know this well, is, I have come to heal the brokenhearted and set the captives free. And the word brokenhearted, if we go to the origin of that word, it is literally the ones whose hearts have shattered. So the word in the original is leb shabar. Leb shabar. Leb means your heart, your will, your self, your very self. Whoever it is that God created me to be has been shabar. And shabar means shattered, broken into pieces. And so as a result of our story, every single one of us has experienced this condition because of the wounds we have received and the story that we have experienced. Our heart, our self, our will, the thing that makes us each individually us, has been shattered. And there are different fragments. And one of the fragments is this 40-year-old man who is well put together, knows how to succeed, knows how to tell people what to do and boss them around, as he said. A different part of him is this beautiful 8-year-old boy that he's, as you're describing, pushing down, trying to make disappear, trying to make him, try to forget him completely because he doesn't like him, right? It is Russell who believes Rusty is a little loser. He doesn't like him at all. There's contempt for that little part. And what you're calling out is that same condition that we're seeing in this beautiful metaphor is real for each and every one of us. I have my heart, myself has been shattered, and there are individual pieces of my soul, and I just don't like some of them. And so there are moments in my life where I feel exposed, when I feel like an 8-year-old boy, right? And I don't like that. I feel shame. I feel insecurity. And so I try to shove that down and pretend that things are right and take control and push, instead of wonder, what's with this kid? What's with this kid? And so I wonder what that is for you. I wonder what that is for the listeners and the viewers out there. Could we there invite God to show us what are those parts of me that have been showing up lately and that I have not paid attention because I need to get my act together, right? A friend of mine and I were having a conversation yesterday on the phone, and he was sharing with me that he's right now going through a lot of financial pressure. He's doing well, but there are additional expenses that he's having to incur in, and he he's experienced this anxiety that he had not felt in a long time, and he's just trying to pray it off, right? Like, oh, Jesus, please take this anxiety. I trust you. I need to trust you. And of course, that is true. But this anxious part of him keeps popping up. And so with the same curiosity, I asked him, I wonder if there is a part of you that is asking for some airtime. Meaning, is there a Rusty that is showing up in your life and you're just trying to make him disappear? Are you just trying to get him to shut up like Russell is with Rusty? And sometimes that part needs air, needs to speak, needs to say, you know what? All the longings and the desires of my heart are not being fulfilled. I wanted a jet. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted a beautiful dog. And I grew up to be a loser. And that part needs that air as part of that healing process and as part of that journey of integration that we're going to go deeper into with the movie.
And going back to your story about the cabin with Juanita and the boys, that sergeant who shows up is protecting that part of you that wants a really good thing for your family.
Yes.
Like you want that lovely evening on the porch with your wife. You want this awesome time with your boys. And the sergeant shows up because he thinks he can handle it. If we just do this way, everything's going to be okay.
Right. He is my plan of salvation. Without me realizing it, his role is to make things work. And because one kid is doing one thing and the other one is not brushing his teeth and the other one is run away and whatever it's happening, that my experience of that is chaotic, given my story. This sergeant's role is to bring things under control so that there is no disruption for me internally. And so by bringing control over things, we can have peace. And once we have peace, yes, we can enjoy the wine outside, or we can enjoy the view of the mountains, or whatever the thing is. But he's typically in the way, right? Because there is only one plan of salvation that really brings salvation, and his name is Jesus. And the beautiful thing is that Sergeant, it's a beautiful part of me, but his role needs to change. And if I'm honest, that part of me back then was completely exhausted to try to make life work and try to herd the cats and make sure that everyone says, please just cooperate with me. Help me make things easier. Why do we want to make things harder? I'm exhausted. That would have been his language if he had, or when he had the microphone and some airtime. That's what the sergeant would have said, is I'm exhausted. Can someone help me? Because I feel that life is up to me. And if I don't freaking show up and force everyone to do what I want, then the chaos is going to overtake us. That would have been him, right? Protecting a younger boy who experienced a lot of chaos growing up and who was overwhelmed by it.
And to go back to that idea of the shattered heart. Well, there's two things. The first is, as you mentioned, to give that part who's incessantly trying to get your attention, to give him some airtime. And we see that in the movie as it goes on. Russ begins asking Rusty, there must be some reason you're here. What happened in our past?
Yes.
That, as all these time travel-ish movies happen, we go back and we fix the problem and we live great, amazing, awesome lives. What do we need to go back and fix back then so I can fix my today?
Right. And what Russell thinks first is that by going back into the past to fix Rusty, then Rusty should disappear. But his premise was actually wrong. He comes to discover that along the way. The problem was not Rusty. Rusty's a beautiful boy, right? He had not lost his heart yet. The treasure was in recovering Rusty for himself, not to make him disappear. And so, and that's Jesus's beauty and God's generosity, is that he wants for us to recover those incredible parts of our hearts that we have lost along the way, that could bring the childlikeness, the lightheartedness, the joy and the play and the freedom and the capacity to treat my wife and my children with love, even if there is chaos. Who cares? Let's do a food fight, and that for that to be okay. And if that could be true, then God could transform the atmosphere of my home and yours and each one of our listeners if we are willing to do what Russell does, which is to go back into his story and to explore and try to find with God, Jesus, show me where along the way did I lose heart? What happened along the way that made me take this detour? Because I want to recover my masculine heart and experience a life worth living.
And so we're going to play that clip where they go back in time to what they think is the moment that the Leb Shabar happened, where the shattering happened. And as they get there, they think that and we go back to, it's Rusty's 8th birthday. He's at school, and they're entering into this moment, not with judgment and condemnation, but with curiosity and compassion.
And Paul, just to maybe tease it out just for a second, there are things that Russell has forgotten, things that he chose to never remember, to push down, but it's important for him to go back to this painful moment. And up until this moment, we already know through the movie that he didn't have a very good relationship with his dad. His dad was a man's man, really good with tools, and he was kind of like clunky with those things. He was not the best at it. And so he could also already feel that he was kind of like a disappointment to dad. And on the other hand, he doesn't know that his mom is actually terminal with cancer and that she could go anyway. She doesn't know this. And so he's at school just playing, and he has this beautiful, courageous heart, and some bullies are just kicking a dog that has only 3 legs. And in the beauty of his masculine heart, Rusty comes up to defend the dog and gets into a fight with the kids, and they're all pulled into the principal's office, and he gets in trouble, and they called the parents to come and pick him up. Dad doesn't pick up the phone because he's at work, and so mom picks up the phone, and she comes to get him, but she should not be picking him up. She should be in bed rest. And Rusty doesn't know any of that. So mom picks him up, takes him back to the house, and then the scene that you're about to show us takes place right after that.
There's a really big slide, remember?
Used to be a lot bigger. Here's what I remember. Some really bad guys tie up that 3-legged dog tripod, and when you try to stop them, you get really thrashed.
Oh no, do I save him?
No, you go down after only 1 punch, thereby solidifying your reputation as a loser for the next 8 years, all the way through high school, and ruining our lives from that moment on.
Oh, holy smokes.
Any second now, Vince Kaczynski and his cohorts are gonna come around that corner.
Look, there they are. Hey, move!
They're gonna say something to you to get you to come over there. But once you get back there, they have tripod tied up. Any questions?
Yeah, what's a cohort?
Hey, Rusty, come over here! It's your birthday, right? We got a present for you!
Look, kid, you don't have to do this at all. You don't have to fight today.
Come on, hurry up!
No. If I don't go against them today, I'll have to fight tomorrow or the next day. And today, you're here with me.
That's right. I'm here with you today.
I can do this.
You can do it. Don't be afraid.
Here I come!
I'll be right here.
What took you so long? Come on, Rusty. I just saw it, and it's on, man. Yeah, hurry up. Surprise. We're far out. Besides that, you know what makes me really happy? I've never seen anything like this. I got some more shorts here, but I'll make an exception. Yeah, they never let me see it. Yeah, got it.
Come on, man. It'll be great. Why don't you go?
Yeah.
It'll be fun. There's your present. What are you doing?
This thinking three-legged dog's worthless. We'll see him run. Light the firecrackers.
Let the dog go. You guys are dirtbags. What'd you call us? Dirtbags.
Good shot.
Look at that. What a dope. Yeah, she right so that was far out. Right on. Yeah, right on. We rule.
Tramp boy. Oh, that's how it's going to be.
No!
Stay, Uncle! Apologize!
Uncle, I'm sorry.
Run! Holy smokes! You did it!
Yabba dabba do is right. You won the fight. You really did it. You won the fight.
I did it! That's all! I did what I had to do. Everything's gonna be different now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Over. That is all. Yes. That's all right.
Oh, no.
What?
It's not over. This gets worse, kid. Much worse.
What are you talking about? I won the fight.
It wasn't the fight. That wasn't it. It's not over.
Ice on the ice, son.
Mr. Branch, I put all the reports on your desk.
Mom, I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm sorry you had to come in, Mrs. Duritz. You don't know you haven't been well.
Please, don't punish him, Mr. Branch. It's his birthday today.
Mom, Daddy's
Gloria, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? You stay there.
Please don't scare him. He's had a hard day.
Gloria, the doctor said you weren't to leave the house. What is the matter with you?
I'm sorry.
How can you do this to your mother? What are you trying to do? Kill her faster?
What?
We're gonna lose her. You pull some stunt like you did today. You're killing her.
I found the screw, Dad. Look, the screw.
Stop crying.
Here's the screw, Dad. Look, here it is. Here it is. I found it.
Stop
Please,
crying.
Daddy, look at the screw. Here it is.
Stop crying. Stop. You gotta grow up now. Do you understand? Grow up. Grow up.
Mom's dying.
I know.
Soon?
For your next birthday.
Did I do it?
No. No, you didn't do it. It's not your fault. Dad was just saying those things because he's scared. Because he knows that he has to raise you alone. He doesn't know how to do it.
I thought you never cried.
Not since my 8th birthday. Guess I'm starting up again.
Come.
Because I just figured out where I got that twitch from.
Somebody called the ambulance.
There is that boy within us, within every one of us, who has experienced the violence of a world at war. And that is the moment where the fragmentation takes place, where the shattering of the heart happens. I'm struck by older Russell thinks that the problem is that Rusty lost a fight, that therefore he got named loser and he became a loser from that point on. And so this person that he became has been his best attempt to become the opposite to loser, being successful in his own strength. And his attempt was to fix the young boy because he is the problem and he is a loser. But through the journey, he begins to experience revelation of what actually happened. It was not that the kid was a loser, is that there was tremendous violence against him and his heart had been shattered. And so his posture towards the kid changes. And he's no longer experiencing this contempt and trying for him to disappear. He has compassion and he has understanding and he is with him. I love that phrase when the kid says, I could fight tomorrow or the next day. If I don't do it today, I may have to fight tomorrow or the next day. But today, today you are with me. What would it look like for us to be there for the young boy within? And more so to bring God so that he can experience the love of God, which is what heals, right? Is that union. Healing comes through union with Christ. And even though we have received Jesus and we have experienced the beauty of his redemption, his restoration, and yes, we're going to spend eternity with him, there are parts of us who have not come to experience the love of God in the way that they need. And what we see in the movie is a perfect metaphor for that. When they're outside of the house and, oh my goodness, the poor kid, what he experiences, right? The dad is completely confused and he is frustrated. He's desperate because he's losing his wife, and all of that rage and anger gets unleashed on the boy. His dad is not a bad person, but in that moment he just reacts out of desperation and he doesn't do it well. He handles it pretty poorly, and it just falls on the kid. But then that scene, the place of integration between old Russell and Rusty, right? Rusty comes to Russell in tears and experiences counseling, right? Like the revelation of truth. Did I do it? Is mom going to die? Yes. Soon? Yes. And so a moment of tremendous pain. Did I do it? No, you didn't. This was not on you. It was not your fault. And you may have been blaming yourself secretly, right? That's shame that we experience for the things that we did or experienced when we were young. No, it was not your fault. You shouldn't have been placed in that position. Your dad didn't know how to handle it better. And so, right, that place of interpretation from older Russell, and then love, that big hug, and the presence of older Russell and younger Rusty together, right? That integration of the two parts of the heart is absolutely breathtaking.
Because what we see in almost 40-year-old Russell is that the way he treated his heart and his dad, because of that moment, became the way he treated everyone.
Yes. Oh, so good.
You use the word contempt, and that's the perfect word, because he had such contempt for the loser that he felt that he was.
Yes.
Because his 8-year-old self had the question, did I do it? And subconsciously, Russell was saying, you did. It's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Dad said.
Yeah. Well, and it's that shines light, back. Jesus in Matthew, in the Gospel of Matthew, he's unpacking, right? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second commandment is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There's no commandment greater than this. We cannot love others if we don't love ourselves. The way we love ourselves is the way we end up loving others, right? That sergeant set on his ways, that showed up and that shows up occasionally, and that is trying to bring people under control. He's really trying to bring that young boy within me under control, because if he was not under control, he was in danger. And so back in my story, living with my mom and my sister after my mom divorced my dad or ran away from my dad from a really, really bad place, we were living in my grandma's house. My grandmother, 2 uncles, and then my mom, my sister, and I came to live in my grandma's house under that in that situation with them. And my grandma was pretty neurotic, and she had a very short temper, and she didn't like the fact that there were now 2 young kids in the house making a ruckus. And so she would threaten my mom that they were going to kick us out of the house if we made noises. And so my mom, what she had to do was, turn the TV in a low volume and get my sister and I to watch TV for hours, because we were kind of like not making a ruckus and therefore not making big noises and not destroying the house or not being kids.
Right.
Because the risk was too high. And I learned very young, I cannot jump, I cannot make noise, I cannot run around, and I cannot scream, I cannot do anything like that. And when that thing happens, occasionally, well, not anymore, but as those things happened for a period of time with my kids being young, it would trigger something in me, and the sergeant set on his ways would show up, trying to bring control, shut down, lower the volume, let's not make a ruckus. Why? Because there's that boy within that he needed to protect, right? Until Jesus comes. And if Jesus comes and restores, goes back into the story, into the memories, and brings healing to the boy within me that was afraid of losing his own house and being being guilty of that, right? If I make noise, my mom, my sister, and I, we will all lose our home, right? Is the Ross is saying, did I kill her? Was it my fault? And we grow up believing that it is so. And so the sergeant is trying to bring this kid under control because it is his fault. And the way that I love myself, or that I treat myself, is the way that inevitably I end up treating others. Again, until the restoration comes, until, in my case, it has taken rounds of this, but Jesus has come into that very memory and embraced that young boy, and has invited my old self to be in that same picture, embracing that young boy and telling him, I'm sorry, buddy, and it is not your fault. And wanting to make a ruckus and wanting to play and wanting to jump, that's normal. And that is how I created you. And you have full permission. So come, let's leave this place now. You don't have to stay here. Let's come to the kingdom. Let's come to the place where you belong, to the house of Papa, house of Father God, where you get to make a ruckus every day you want, where you get to play, where you get to be a young boy. And that embrace between me and him. And as an older man, I had to tell that boy within me, I'm sorry. I've been trying to shut you down. I've been trying to get you to not make noises, to not play, because I didn't want you to get us in trouble. But you have the right to play, and you have the right to make a ruckus. Let's make a ruckus together. And as I went through that, what Jesus told me is permission to play, permission to joy, permission to allow the boy within you to come, and permission for your family to get to know that boy. And so the atmosphere in my home began to shift. And I purposefully began to now take steps of initiation with my father to move in the opposite to the way that I was moving in the past. And so what does it look like to play? What does it look like to actually increase the volume and just do what otherwise would have caused me so much anxiety, I guess. And a part of me has been integrated. And so I can be serious when it's time to be serious. And yes, let's have manners at the table, whatever. But when it's time to play, let's play. And there's a big space for both. And so the sergeant, who is actually a beautiful part of me too, his role is redeemed. He doesn't have to keep people under control. His strength is to be used in the service of love, in the service of protection, in the service of carrying the kingdom. But the boy has a protector, and his name is Jesus. So I wonder, Paul, what's stirring in your heart, but I'm wondering for our listeners, what's that boy inside that may need to go back with God and to places where the heart was shattered and the heart was wounded, and ask for his healing in those places. And sometimes there are wounds and things that we can handle ourselves in our union with God, in our relationship with him daily. This may also stir the need for care, and so for maybe counseling, or maybe going to a professional who can help guide through that. And I've done that myself. I highly suggest that. Counseling intensives, or a counselor online, or someone who can shepherd that process of awareness of the places where we have been wounded and where our lev has been shabar, where our heart has been shattered, and go through the journey of healing to receive the union with God, to experience union with Jesus in that place, and receive integration between the different parts of us.
In one of the lines that I wrote down from that clip, as Rusty's going into the fence, Russ says, "You can do it. Don't be afraid." Because for my story, as I experienced at the muster last year, I had the realization, the clarion bell, the alarm going off in my head was, I'm the monster in my own story, causing trauma and abuse. My own story of being a victim, but also being an abuser and leaving shattered pieces behind me and going to places I didn't want to go. And it takes courage. But as you said, it helps to know that you're not going alone. You use the word shepherd, and I love that term. We enter those places with Jesus, and if possible, with a counselor, with someone, and maybe it's a close friend who you share them with. And I was at the muster with John, and that night we had a beautiful conversation where we shared stuff that neither one of us knew about the other one. And there was no judgment. There was no condemnation. There was just compassion. And as we sort of said at the beginning, the power of love to transform.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to go to the next clip with older Russ, 70 or 80-year-old Russ, I don't remember. Because he's the one who flew the plane. He's the one who orchestrated it. Our future self.
Yeah.
Because nothing we do today is going to change the past. But that does not mean we are without hope.
Yeah. And we cannot change the historical past, but God can change the past within us, which is the most hopeful and beautiful thing in the world. The work of restoration that Jesus has done in my heart, Paul, there are memories that I have now that used to be highly traumatic and sorrowful. And when I go back to them right now, as I recall them in my memory, I see Jesus and the work that he did there.
Yeah.
And that is engraved in my heart and in my soul. My heart has been integrated. And so just like Jesus is showing his scars to his disciples after he's resurrected, there is a trace that something took place, but it doesn't hurt anymore. And it doesn't affect me anymore. And that's the most hopeful thing in the world. Healing happens through union with Christ, and it's true healing. But it doesn't as you mentioned, it doesn't stay there. Because the beautiful thing, and this is, crazy, that for God there is no chronological time. There is no chronos. There is chronological time for us. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end. But Jesus is the same, yesterday, today, and forever, right? For them, he's always been, past and future. And so in the same way that he can take us to places in our stories to bring healing and to bring that integration that we witness in Russell and Rusty's life, that union between them two, as they are now together, no longer bound by their past. They're free from that, right? So Russell can have that boy within him be expressed in his present life. Childlike joy and playfulness, and not the a-hole that we saw in the first clip. Or not only that. But then there's the hope that God wants to reveal to us our true identity. When the man that he thought of when he thought of us, and the women that he thought of, every woman when he created them. The book of Daniel describes that there are the books of heaven. There's a book where my life is written. I want to know what that is. In Revelation, it talks about the white stone, that Jesus would reveal a white stone as a symbol for a word that describes who I am, that no other person can know or even understand. It's for me and for me alone. I was created to reveal the very particular aspects of the nature of God that you cannot express, Paul, because you're a different man. You have a completely different story, a different, I want to say, spiritual gene pool, if you will. You were created to reflect the image of God in similar ways than I did as a man, of course, that I do, but also in very unique ways. And I'm super curious about that. What is that? The fullness of who I am that I could become. I would like to see that man that God created me to be, that I get to become. Imagine having an encounter with that, with my future self. If he could come and say, it's going to be okay. Yes, we experience all of these troubles and these circumstances, but all of this was for our good. God shepherded us through it. He forged us into the man he wanted us to become. And now look at who I became. And so Russell gets to experience that. And I believe that we do too. If we were to invite God and say, God, would you show me, give me a glimpse of who is that man that you created me to be, that I get to become. Show me who it is. Tell me more about my true identity. And would we be willing to walk with God and experience that revelation over time? And so for the sake of the scene, we are at this turning point. They have gone into the past to experience healing and restoration, the healing of the brokenhearted, and his heart being set free, the ministry of Isaiah 61. Now they come back to the present time, but they get a glimpse of who he gets to become.
This is disgusting. Let me have some of yours.
Hey! You don't seem all that mad.
About what?
I didn't change anything.
Like the fact that we're still gonna have to fight Vince Kaczynski every week all through grade school?
Yeah.
And it will still be ugly through high school?
But not stupid.
Not stupid. And that we spend our college years as a chickless, dogless jerk with a twitch?
Still not have a family when we're 40.
Well, what's done is done.
Yeah.
But hey, this is our birthday, okay? Happy birthday, kid. Cheers, kid.
Hello, boy. How you doing? Who are you?
Jester, come on, boy.
Did you hear what he just called his dog?
Chester.
Can that
the old plane? Yeah. You did all this. You put that plane on my doorstep. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a particularly nice touch. Yeah, it was. I bet you got a lot of questions. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't worry about it. Got 30 years to figure them out. Right now, I gotta go. Family's waiting. Especially nice seeing you again. I'll see you.
See ya.
Holy smokes.
We did it.
You're a pilot.
You're a pilot.
You're a pilot.
No, you're a pilot.
I'm a pilot.
We grew up to be pilots. We grew up to be pilots. Hey!
Did you see our dog?
What's his name?
Chester.
Chester, the world's greatest dog. Yes. Ooh. Right, left,
Did you
left.
see our
Come on.
family?
That old lady looked familiar.
I thought so too.
Look at us go.
Look at us go.
I am not a loser!
Look at us go. Kid. Bye, kid.
So hopeful.
Yeah.
I was feeling is, almost like a weight is lifted off my shoulders. How much energy and time and resources do we spend trying to make life work?
Mm.
The message that I get from this scene is, as long as I partner with God, because obviously that's the at the center of our lives, and as long as I walk in union with Him, it's going to be okay. I am more loved than I know, and I am being led, and I have a hope and a future. I love the interaction, the contrast between the interaction in the diner. They're describing how, Russell is telling Rusty, this was awesome, and right, the healing, the integration was phenomenal, but you have to get ready because you're going to have to fight this kid all throughout college or throughout high school, and then you're going to have to experience this all throughout college. And then the kid says, yeah, and I need to wrestle with the fact that I'm going to grow up to be a 40-year-old man who doesn't have a truck or a plane, who does not a pilot, and who doesn't have a wife. And And yeah, that is a reality because he's 40 and that's not going to change between 8 and 40 now, 39 turning 40. But it doesn't mean that it cannot start changing now. And so, oh my goodness, it is never too late.
Yeah.
And to have the privilege to experience healing and restoration from what we have experienced in our past, integration of those fragmented parts, and also see what's possible in the future if we stay in the path with God. That changes everything. That changes absolutely everything.
What I see as the kid disappears at the end, little Rusty disappears, and I don't think he goes back, and I think that's a moment where they are completely and wholly integrated and at peace with each other.
That's right.
Because we don't want Russ to have a family at 30 without becoming the man who's completely integrated.
Right. Yeah, he would wreck that family.
Oh,
right.
Be traumatic for his kids.
Mm-hmm.
He would pass on the damage that his own father gave him.
Yeah.
So we want Russ to become a healed man. And I think a lot of times when we feel impatient, when we feel in a hurry, it's just God saying, we got to get you ready. You've got to become the man who can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the part from your story, Pablo, because you and Juanita have remarried. Because the man you are today is not the man she married.
That's right. And we've had this conversation multiple times during our marriage when we are at a crossroads and Jesus is doing pretty deep work of restoration. And so again, it's not just a one time, it's layer after layer after layer of peeling the onion. And as he reveals more things, right, the equivalent of Russell going back into Rusty's story and witnessing, oh, wow, I thought it was this, but it was really this. Well, it was both. Of course, the fight had an effect on his young heart. And winning the fight now gives him the confidence that he's now going to carry. But it was mainly about the encounter with his dad and realizing that his mom would die and all of that. In my own story and in Juanita's own story, we have come to see deeper layers of our wounding and our fragmentation and how we have brought that to marriage. And so multiple times we've had to say, this needs to end, meaning not the marriage, but this broken system that we have been living under. And so we joke that the guys who actually get a divorce, they have the opportunity to go and marry again. Why not us? If we are ending with this system that was dysfunctional, which is what we show in the documentary series, and now we have this different one, which is restored and integrated and healed. And of course, we know that the healing journey continues and there'll be more. But we said, let's do something more than just renewing our vows, which of course it's a renewal of vows, but in our hearts and in our story was, no, let's get married again. Because my wife gets to marry a guy that is way better than her first husband. and my wife right now, it's a way more beautiful, wholehearted, restored woman than the woman that I married the first time. So our second marriage is turning out to be awesome. It's better than our first marriage. It just happens to be with the same human being. Thank God. But it's not the story for some marriages. Some marriages actually end up in separation, divorce, and there is hope. As long as you heal and you restore your masculine heart and your feminine heart, for the ladies, you get to have a story of redemption. Now, the problem is that we sometimes believe, oh, it's her. And so divorce, I'll get a new one and my problems will stop. When in reality, there is so much within you, just like it was in Russell, that you're unaware of. And you're carrying that from one relationship to the other. And so that's why if you think about the statistics on divorce for second, third, fourth marriages, plus it's just a handful of them actually stay together. Because there is a portion, of course, that is about the other, but most of it is about ourselves. And so, as you're saying, just like we want Rusty to become a wholehearted Russell so that he can handle what God wants for him, that same is true for each one of us. And my role in my marriage is to clean my side of the street. I have no control over what she does or doesn't do. And I am entrusting that to God in her own journey, that she's going to walk with God and continue her own journey of healing and restoration with my support. But what I can control is my self-control, the fruit of the Spirit. And therefore, Jesus, come and change me, heal me. And the pieces where she is getting on my nerves, the question is, why does that get in my nerves, God?
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a trailhead to deeper healing. Why am I reacting like that? Why do I feel this frustration? What is this rooted in? And if I approach the situation with that question, then it becomes a conduit of deeper healing, deeper restoration. And then, it doesn't bother me anymore. And now I can help her with the portion that is of her in love. And what I just described is basically the plank and the speck, right? I see what I see in her. It just pisses me off, but it's why? Because I cannot see clearly, because I have a freaking log in my eye. And so the journey of removing that log, healing, restoration, transformation from within allows me to see clearly and then help her in love for her sake, not for mine. It's hopeful. It's beautiful. He was the one orchestrating their story, the old Russell. He was the one flying the red plane, and he was the one starting this conspiracy to bring healing and restoration. We get to become who God created us to be. But Russell hasn't become that man yet, right? You said you may have many questions. Don't worry. You have 30 years to explore them. The question for Russell, 39-year-old Russell turning 40, the question now that his wound has been healed, his fragments have been integrated, and he has had a glimpse of who he could become, what he has is choice. He was tied before that. He was chained to the wounds that he had experienced, which had made him into this heartless jerk of a man. And now he doesn't have those chains anymore. He has choice. He doesn't have to be a jerk anymore. He is loving himself, the little boy in him, and therefore he can love others as himself. And he also has a glimpse into who he can become if he makes the proper choices, which is the most beautiful gift God can give us. The dignity of causation, as we know that Pascal says, and John Eldridge has taught countless times on. We get to participate in the story that God is writing with every single one of our choices. And so the restoration of our identity, of our true identity, it rests on these two pillars: an encounter with God, that constant revelation of who I get to become, of who he thought of when he thought of me, plus the 1,000 choices that I get to make every single day and every single year and every single decade, so that a decade, 2, 3 decades from now, I can then look back and say, look, Father, you have done it in participation with me, with my yes. And so how could my life be different if I chose to love that future self, that Pablo in 5 years, that Pablo in 10 years? If I could see him and love him well today, what choices would I make so that his life in 5 years, in 10, in 15, in 20 is a phenomenal life, so that he can become all that God created him to be?
Hello? I'm here. Russ? Russ?
Hi, Janet. I'm back here. I'll be out in a second.
Hey, a couple of questions. Why am I not at the office? Why are you not at the office? And where have you been?
Did you call my dad?
Yes, I told him you'd be there Sunday to help him move. You almost had a heart attack, if that was your intention.
What about the plane tickets to Hawaii?
I booked them 2 first-class seats. You leave at 2.
Got a pen? Change these names on here. Use my credit card.
Russ! I love it, I love it,
Aloha,
I love
Jen.
it, I love it. I love Hawaii. I love Hawaii!
Do you want to come in?
Yes.
Your love lifted me higher than I've ever been lifted before.
It takes 1,000 choices every day and every decade, but they're worth it. Oh my goodness, the man is a different man, right? You see the smile on his face. You see that he's rested and he's relaxed. He's joyful, and he begins to move in the opposite, risking in love. Janet, his assistant, his secretary, who couldn't, I mean, she basically detested the guy, and now he gives her 2 tickets to Hawaii for her to enjoy with her husband. And he wouldn't talk to his dad because since he was a little boy at 8, he had been resentful of him, and their relationship was broken. And now he's choosing to go and invest in love and help him move. And we haven't talked much about his relationship with his girlfriend, who is on the receiving end of all of his crap at the beginning of the movie, and she barely wants to see him again, but she is the only one who can see through the crap and see the real man. And she treats the boy with love and compassion, and she's awesome. And now he's pursuing her and choosing to risk in love by buying a puppy and naming him Chester.
Yep.
We get to do that. A man who is walking with God to become who he created him to be can change his world. It becomes an avenue of transformation, of changing the atmosphere in our homes and in our places of work and in our communities and in our churches. I see the radical difference between a man trying to make life work in his own strength at the beginning of a movie and a man who is yielded to the work of God in and through him. And the contrast is just radical. It's beautiful. It's transformation that happens just through the power of love.
Yeah. I told you it would come full circle as the song, Your Love Keeps Lifting Me Higher.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've experienced through the course of our walk with Jesus.
Yeah.
And where we are today is not as high as we're going to get because it just keeps lifting us higher. As you mentioned, the power of love to transform. It starts with us and then impacts everyone that we come in contact with. And you use the phrase risking in love. It feels risky. As he said, he shows up with a puppy. Puppies look great. They're a lot of work. Relationships may seem great, but they're a lot of work. There's a lot of mess. But when you risk in love, trusting God to be there with us, trusting Jesus to hold our hands and to be there and to be say, You're here with me so I can face this today. He says, don't be afraid, but risk, because he risked everything. He risked it all for us.
Yeah.
And so, Pablo, would you close us in prayer for both healing of the younger pieces of us, of identification of those younger pieces, and so that we might see the future self that God is offering to us?
Yeah. Honor to that, Paul. Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, thank you. Thank you for your relentless pursuit of our hearts. Thank you that you will stop at nothing until we have been fully restored and healed and initiated as men and as women, and until we have become who you created us to be. Jesus, you have my yes. I give you my yes. And today I pause, I slow down to ask the question, what do you want to show me? Father, where in my life am I trying to make life work forcefully, trying to protect myself, self-protect, or promote myself, gain things, acquire, get a name for myself, get something going? What is it that I'm doing to try to make life work apart from you? I give you permission, access, Jesus, to use this to take me back into my story. Why am I operating in that way? What do you want to show me today? Where is the boy within me needing love, needing care? I open my heart to you, God, to come into those young and wounded places of my heart, that you may heal and restore. I ask you for forgiveness for treating those young parts of me with contempt, for trying to make them disappear because they feel inconvenient. And I choose to cooperate with your healing process. I ask you, God, to take me back into those places, to lead me to shine your light, to bring awareness, but deeper still, to bring healing. I invite you, Jesus, to come into those broken and wounded places in my soul. I ask you to come into each of those memories, that I may experience union with you in that place. I want my heart to be one with you in that place. Guide me, Lord. Shepherd me to mourn, to grieve, to forgive, to release to you, and experience your healing, your restoration, and the integration of the pieces, the fragments of my soul. Guide me, Lord. For some of us, that may require professional help or counseling or retreat, a friend. So Jesus, I ask that you show me the path. Shine your light as to which steps you want me to take. I choose to believe that this very podcast, this story that I'm watching or listening to, that this is you reaching out to me, you wanting to bring healing to my soul. So I say, yes, would you guide me? Would you show me the next steps, Lord? And Jesus, in your love and in your beauty, I also say yes to your desire to reveal to me the person, the man or woman that I get to become. So would you, for all the men listening or watching, Jesus, would you show me, would you give me a glimpse of the man that you created me to be? For the women listening or watching, would you show me, Lord, a glimpse of the woman that you created me to be? How do I get to reflect your image? Who do I get to become in partnership with you? And Father, from that place, from that revelation of my true identity, would you give me the strength, and would you walk side by side with me every day as I choose to risk courageously in love, to move in the opposite spirit, to buy the poppy equivalent, to give the Hawaii tickets the equivalent of that, to pursue those that you have entrusted to me, to lower my guard, to stop trying to control and instead choose to love. Jesus, I choose to say yes to that radical exchange. I release the grip. I let go of control. And I choose to love. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Something inside has been awakened. I can no longer be who I was before. But if I am no longer who I was, who am I to be?